All right, welcome back to a brand new edition of the Johnny's World podcast. Johnny here with my co-host BW. How you doing today, BW?
Man, doing great. Getting close to college football season, so ready to rock and roll.
That's right. What's been going up in your neck of the woods? What's been going on?
Well, just mostly work. I went down to Orange Beach a couple weeks ago, so took about a week off for vacation, and it always takes me about a month to catch back up from vacation after I get back. So just been running around like crazy since then.
Orange Beach, man. Well, I always remember our time at Orange Beach at one of our buddies' bachelor parties at the Florida Bend. We had some funny experiences down there. You sent me a video at the Florida Bend. You went to church there, is that right?
Yeah, we went to church at Floribama when we were down there. They call
Okay,
it the Church of the Shores or something like that. It was
really?
pretty cool. They had it back there, kind of. I mean, it was in the bar the part where they keep the band playing and everything. They have the stage set up in there, and so you couldn't really see the ocean. We were kind of hoping you get to see the ocean, but you know, it was still
I
cool.
got you. That's still pretty cool. Well, BW, tell us a little updates on Johnny Packer Coffee and what we got going on. I actually got an email from our friends up in Memphis at the CF Foundation up there. They want to have us come up for or do a Zoom call or something. They have an event coming up, so I'll share that with you. What's going on when I
Yeah,
hear more about that? I think it's in the fall fundraiser they have. But
yeah.
what about the coffee front? How's everything going there?
Things going great. We were fully set up and operational at the High Point Roasters up there in New Albany. So everything that you order from us is now coming straight from the state of Mississippi. And same as before, fresh roasted coffee. You order it, they roast it in house right up there in New Albany. It ships out to you. Generally, you're going to have it within a week. Right now, we've got basically any kind of blend, any kind of country of origin that you want with the coffee. You can get it whole bean, you can get it ground just like before. Still working on getting the flavored coffee up in the store, but right now you can get just about anything you want. And we've still got the subscription model, so if you like it, just put it on auto ship. Got several people doing that. Just they get one bag a month or one bag every 2 weeks. You can set it up however you want to, and it's been going really well. They're doing great getting it fulfilled. I want to go down there one of these days, and I thought about setting up maybe we do a podcast from down there one of these days. But y'all just hop on johnnypacker.net. If you like coffee, you know somebody else that likes coffee, get on there, place an order, try a couple of different countries, try a couple of the blends on there. We got BW's blend in there, of course, one of my favorite ones. It's good stuff, and you're supporting a good cause when you do it.
Yeah, and I say this all the time about it. Matter of fact, I was up in New York a couple weeks ago. I was texting you. I got some new glasses up there. My favorite brand is Moscot they have up there. We kind of modeled the Johnny Packer eyewear that we used to sell after Moscot glasses, and but we were doing those online and so they're pretty highly priced. But man, this coffee products is real affordable. It's $20. Like you said, you could do that subscription automatically. Um, it gets to you. And the best part about it is raising money for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And I just like to tell people, my fight with CF every single day. People think, when I talk about this miracle drug that I'm cured and everything. That's not the case. The miracle drug is a absolute miracle. I would not be here today if I did not have access to it. But it's a constant battle. Still doing breathing treatments twice a day, carrying on. It's you can't. It never gives up. Every day I wake up, I have to fight CF, and that's what these people are doing that are in search of a miracle drug that they're trying their best to find out. Like I say all the time, there's 10% of the CF population that do not have one, and the only way they can get access to that is through research and all that sort of stuff with developing new drugs in the pipeline. So you're playing a small part in that by just buying a bag of coffee, because when you do, portions of that sale goes to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation that we raise money for, and helps people out like myself who are battling CF. So we thank y'all from the bottom of our hearts. And cool thing about it, like I said, it's a Mississippi-based company now with New Albany Roasters, and everything is in state here. So really, really pleased with that. And our show today, we got a great Mississippian lined up today that's about to join us here shortly. And we're just real Mississippi proud today. So thank y'all for listening to this, and really thank y'all for your support of johnnypacker.net, and go check it out. And we'll be back on in the fall. We'll continue doing our football predictions and all that sort of stuff coming up. Probably the next episode we'll do a little preview on that like we've done the past 2 years. So but thank y'all for following us, johnnypacker.net. If you're tuning in this for the first time, don't know what we're talking about, go to johnnypacker.net. Stories on there as far as what we do while we raise money, and you'll see all the different blends of coffee products and everything like that. So.
Yes, sir. Well, let's bring on our guest. I mean, he's already on the call with us. We just got him hidden from the screen, so let's
That's
bring
right.
him back on and get him introduced here.
Yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna bring him on. He is the let me make sure I get this right. Music and culture ambassador for the state of Mississippi. Y'all will know exactly who I'm talking about when I say that. Mr. Steve Azar, welcome to Johnny's World Podcast. We really appreciate you coming on.
You guys got a lot going on. It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here, and we just got back at 4 a.m. It's not easy to get to Greenville, Mississippi when you're flying. Sometimes you have to take the late flight in, and so I listened to some podcasts actually to make sure I didn't fall asleep from Memphis to Greenville last night. So,
oh yeah,
that's a good thing like yours.
Awesome.
How long of a drive is that from Greenville to Memphis? What?
Last night, do you want me to tell you how long it was or how long it seemed? You know, when late night, sometimes it feels like who is on the other end pulling the road away from you? You know what I mean?
Right.
You're on this, you feel like the lights on the wheel, you know? So, no, I was, it's about 2 hours and a half.
Okay.
Door to door, if you don't stop at Taco Bell on the way in South Haven.
There you go. Nice. Hopefully you're not paying for that today.
Yeah, you know, it's been good. I got some sleep, and my wife and I were visiting some dear friends of ours who are big donors to our foundation down here. And we just, they've been begging us to come to Paradise. You know, they've got a place there. Spent a lot of time in St. Thomas, St. Croix. St. Thomas used to be a place where a lot of us would get together and help raise money for after school programs. And a lot of those same folks became good friends of ours that come to our Delta Soul Celebrity Golf and Charity event every year. So it was an important thing where we got to meet a lot of people and bring them in to help us raise money for our foundation. So it's been a blessing.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we want to hear about your foundation at some point in the show as well. So we can come back to that in a little while.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One reason why we want to have you on, you know, we have that mutual friend with Hobie Hobart. I just had on last podcast. If y'all listen to it, go back, and if you had missed it, go back and listen. We talk all about Key West, and I was talking to Hobie, and I was like, man, I'd love to get Steve on. He said, I know Steve. He's one of my best friends. Let me give you a number. So that's how we got you hooked up. And you know, I've been wanting to have on for a while because Brandon and I started this thing probably about 3 years ago, and we're both Mississippians, born in Mississippi, went to school at Mississippi State, and matter of fact, on our coffee blends, and when we were selling glasses, we named them all after different Mississippi towns. And I thought about you. I was like, man, you'd be a great person over our podcast talking about Mississippi. Just, I guess, tell us about your love for the state of Mississippi, how you got involved to be the culture and music ambassador for the state.
Well, first of all, I have no career if it's not for being raised in Mississippi. There's no proof or evidence genetic wise as a singer-songwriter and get to make a career out of it since he was a little kid, and been so blessed to write songs for a living and make music for a living and perform for folks all over. A lot of time at Mississippi State, playing gigs growing up, and when I wasn't playing baseball against Hobie's little brother, we call him Hobie as well. They're all Hobies, you know what I mean? Like, but they're a great family, and obviously Mississippi State bleeds through them, you know. So what a great family they are. But yeah, I grew up playing here, writing songs. My dad went to Notre Dame. A lot of my family members, my brother, cousins, and brother-in-law, all went to Notre Dame somehow out of, you know, and fell in love with obviously being Catholic and with that school. And I didn't have the grades to get in, so that was a good thing. But spent a lot of time making music. My dad came back home after the Air Force and Notre Dame, and he opened the first illegal liquor store in Mississippi. And thus my sneaking back there in my baseball uniform at about the age of 10 and falling in love with whatever Eugene Powell, who was Sonny Boy Nelson, back in making blues records in the late 30s, used to sit behind my dad's liquor store with postmen after their days of work on old Pepsi crates. It was so visual. And I've spent time from the Mississippi River to Mississippians, period, the characters, our personality, And I've got a whole album with the names of towns from Rena Laura to Coldwater to Greenville to Indianola, Rosedale, the list goes on. And the state song now, One Mississippi, that's on that My Mississippi Reunion record, which I'm most grateful for in my career over any hit. Having the state song is the greatest accomplishment of my life. So, it's just, I love this place. And we spent 20 years in Music City. And I think people know when we moved home and moved our kids weren't with us when we left here. My wife's from Arkansas, and which we have to forgive her for being a Razorback. But that's where I met her. I stole her off the shoulders of a Sigma Chi, I always say, when my band was playing there. And our daughter went there as well. My son went to Ole Miss, and one is another filmmaker out in LA. But my Ole Miss kid's in med school. He's about to be a fourth-year med school student. So, and our daughter's in New York. She's cooking. She's becoming a chef and all that. But
Wow.
with all this stuff, I wanted them to experience Mississippi, and they were 15, 13, and 10 when we decided to move them out of Music City, where they were born and raised, to the birthplace of America's music. And it changed their life in such a wonderful way. It helped them focus on their passions and really locked in. And I'm telling you, they bleed Mississippi now. So just like it did for me, I'm many generations back in Mississippi. I missed this place when I was away from it, but I always was writing about it and performing it all over the world. And even on every album I've ever made, there was a point when you turned the corner from a mainstream song and you were all in Mississippi. And so it's been a blessing to come back. Governor Bryant back in 2016 made me the music and culture ambassador. Governor Reeves has kept me on as that, or at least he hadn't told me I'm not it. So, but yeah, just a lot of inspiration from being here. And look, guys, I love hearing you guys talk about coffee named after towns. I got the songs the same way. And so you guys bleed it like I do. And I just can't imagine a better place in the world. And like, we just left St. Croix, and I'm telling you, getting back home was like the most beautiful thing in the world. It's a peaceful drive on Highway 61. And there's something about being from here that is hard to explain why we love it so much and why we want everybody to know that. And why we know it's sort of our sacred hallowed ground.
And you got me some chill bumps right there.
Yeah, I love this place.
Well, so I'm up in Memphis. I'm close, and I was in the office the other day, and we were talking about something, and one of my employees had never heard of Jerry Clower, and so I started playing some Jerry Clower YouTube videos, and there was a lady sitting over in my optical, and she said, "Is that Jerry Clower?" And I said, "Yeah," and she said, "I'm from Yazoo City, Mississippi," and she said, "Mr. Clower used to go to church with my grandparents. And he was the nicest guy ever. And he used to wear that red suit when he'd come up in there." And so it's just funny, all the connections and how everybody knows everybody and all that stuff.
Well, we don't, in Mississippi, we don't separate celebrity or personality, or it's one thing. And and even with our charity event, our foundation event, we're about to be in our 14th year next year. There's no red ropes. If you're a big sponsor or a celebrity, you're all VIPs, you all matter. And I've seen these great relationships that have been built that could never be if you didn't give people a chance just to get to know each other. I mean, what was the chances of these guys, these doctors, and a couple guys that own like a zillion gas stations and really nice convenience stores in Kentucky and West Virginia and Ohio, they bleed the Wildcats, right? They are Kentucky Wildcats. And I paired them with Marshall Henderson, from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. They go, "Why is he here?" And I said, well, although Marshall, not only, they said, we hate him, right? And, do you realize how the grief he gave us? And he went into romp and beat him, and all that. And he goes, "We hate him." And so I said, well, not only do you hate him, but he's your celebrity guest today, that you're going to be for 6 hours on the golf course. And they said, we'll never come back. And then when they came off the golf course, they're arm in arm. They were at his wedding with us, and Morgan Freeman, Coach Kennedy we were all at his wedding in Dallas. All these Kentucky Wildcats who used to hate Marshall Henderson was right there when they watched him get married. They've been to every event since. They love each other. Marshall had them on the football field at the Kentucky game. And I mean, it just shows you that as much as competitive as our SEC is and our, fan base, that we can put the nemesis as far apart. It's almost like we could solve the world's, our country's hate problem just by coming to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We can get along with anybody.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it's good stuff for sure.
Yeah, me and Brandon, we were on this podcast a couple months ago called the Made in Mississippi podcast, entrepreneur podcast. We were talking about our thing we have going on as far as raising money for CF, and I remember Brandon texted me, he was like, "Man, did you hear that song at the end of it? It's the coolest song I've ever heard." And it was the One Mississippi song. I was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "It's so awesome." Just tell us a little bit about how you wrote that song and a little bit about this song.
Well, it's been so awesome. Made in Mississippi, yeah, they've been using it as their theme. One Mississippi was born. Governor Bryant in 2016, when he brought me into his office, he said, "Hey, I want you to write the official bicentennial song. I feel like you're the guy to do it. We're about to celebrate Mississippi's 200th birthday in 2017." And he goes, "But there's one caveat. Every kid in school has to want to sing it." And I went, "Huh." And so I left there so inspired. I called him the next morning and I said, "Are you busy?" He goes, "Well, I'm the governor." And I said, "Well, I got the song." And he goes, "What song?" And I said, "The one you told me to write." He said, "There's no way you've written that yet." And I said, "Listen, you inspired me so much. You were so fired up. I had that thing written in my head by the time I got home. And actually, when you live it your whole life, sometimes the song writes itself. And in that case, I literally didn't change a thing. I went straight to the guitar, a chord progression I've never really used. My hands just went to it. The lyrics fell out. It's about 6.5 minutes. It's as long as American Pie and Freebird because it needed to be. And I'll tell you, we've been traveling around the state, visiting schools. We visited a ton of schools already. When I'll show up, the kids sing every word with me. They know it better than I do. And at first I was bringing lyrics, and they go, "We don't need lyrics." They're from the kindergartner to the senior in high school, and so it's been so awesome, y'all. And now the book, the children's book that Sarah Frances Hardy, she ended up doing the illustration. 7 beautiful kids that represent Mississippi, and the lyric is actually the words in the book, and we're meeting with the Secretary of Education next week about it, a curriculum in school. So what's happened is there's a teacher's guide, there's a curriculum. There's between Ole Miss and William Carey College, there's been some other schools. They've already jumped on board and they're teaching the teachers to teach when they go out to elementary schools around the state of Mississippi. And now One Mississippi is a big part of what they teach their students to go teach the kids. So anyway, so we're going to probably visit about 25, 30 more schools this year. And every time I leave there, it makes my day and makes my week. And it lets me know why my move back from Nashville, when my managers were managing me, Fleetwood Mac, ZZ Top, Slash, and Tommy Lee. And my agent had me and Keith Urban and just Darius Rucker and a bunch of us. And they all looked at me and said, "Why would you leave? Where are you going? And why would you ruin your career?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to make my career all over again," because they knew I loved this place. But leaving Nashville made no sense on paper at the time. I just got through touring with Bob Seger for almost a year. Everything was clicking. I had my own label. We just had our first hit on my own label, not Universal, my first one off of Universal, and a #1 music video when we were rolling. And I just felt like it was time to come home. And so having the opportunity to get to write the state song, which was just the bicentennial song at the time, getting a new flag and then getting a new song back to back, repealing the other one after 60 years and seeing how it's impacting kids has changed my life. It's so beautiful.
Man, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your foundation and some of what you're doing with that.
Well, so I used to host the CMA every year at Fanfare. The CMA, I was sponsored in North America. I was a brand ambassador for ExxonMobil. So my buses had ExxonMobil On the Run, Steve Azar. They were trying to convert a lot of their Tiger March to On the Run. So that was sort of what we were promoting. But you know, they would. So I had the Steve Azar ExxonMobil Celebrity Sports Challenge every year at CMA Music Fest. And it was sort of like Battle Network of the Stars. If you guys can go back, you know, we played every stupid, you know, we did 3-pointers, shot free throws, did the hockey puck in the net, threw the baseball, threw the football, through the tire. But I'd have Jim McMahon. We had John Daly would come, Jim Kelly, who else? All these great Billy Joe Tolliver, Steve Berline. We'd have all these great quarterbacks come in, right? And a lot of actor friends of mine, and we'd compete. And then we'd go raise money for the foundation at BB King's, raise a little bit of money, you know, and we'd send it to some, our foundation, our mission statement is for kids in the Mississippi Delta, but that's stretched out now. And it's for sick, disadvantaged children, and a heavy emphasis on the arts, which is really where our sweet spot is. So we've given away about $1 million. It'll be $1.4 million this year to the arts, various programs. We don't have our own programs. We support all of the many vast organizations that put on summer programs and camps and during the year, and theaters, and you know, all these sorts of great things that, you know, the arts have been taken away from our schools. So if you take that away from Mississippians, you might as well take our farmland away too, because it leaves us with not much, because we are the greatest farmers. We are the birthplace of America's music, and you can't eliminate certain things from us. So as much as of a sports enthusiast as I am, because I credit playing sports growing up to me handling the losses in Music City and the turndowns along my way, and the just getting the door shut in my face, just getting back up and dusting myself off, as they say, and going back in and winning, you know, because you lose most of the time, but you just need to win enough, you know. So anyway, so we do that every June. And Reggie Smith, one of the great baseball players of our time, never misses. He never missed it ever. A great example of how much he loves this place. He comes for a week, and then he wanted to put on a free baseball clinic. So he would do that, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi would sponsor that particular event. And, you know, he was the honorable all-star baseball coach last year. So, I mean, he will be in the Hall of Fame probably when he's dead and gone, unfortunately. They've missed on him so far, but one of the greatest Red Sox and Dodgers in history. But he loves coming to Mississippi, and just like Richard Karn from Home Improvement, Gary Valentine from The King of Queens. I mean, the list goes. Mark Ripien was here this year for the first time, and he says he'll never miss. So it was great to see, you know, Mark Ripien and Jim McMahon have conversations about their days in football. And so anyway, the list goes. Morgan Freeman comes at times when he's not filming, but you know, Morgan's always working, so it's part of the deal. But it's a great event, and it's been a beautiful thing. The Abney Foundation, you know, David Abney, heavy Mississippi State, him and Sherry, they've never missed. Our event brought us together. We didn't know each other. Just I knew of the great David Abney, who became the CEO of UPS, who he would tell these great stories of his dad. They couldn't afford to go to Mississippi State, so he went to Delta State. But his greatest memories were getting to go to a game at Mississippi State with his dad. And now they've got that big building named after David's dad, after he became so successful to help tutor the student athletes and all that. So the gift that keeps on giving, and it's another example, shining example of a Mississippi heart.
Yeah. Well, one of these days, hopefully we can say we've raised $1 million for cystic fibrosis. That's one of my goals. I'd love to get there. So
well, I love what you guys are doing. Look, man, it's Mississippians are all about. We're crazy giving people. And I'm telling you, you guys can't tell me that you don't have a core group around you that continues to grow, that gives of their time. I mean, every single year, and it's almost like they don't have time for it, but they make the time because it means that much. You know, the human spirit in Mississippi is alive, I'm telling you. So what you guys are doing, obviously, Johnny, you're been touched your whole life by this. So I mean, it's a beautiful thing. You can't tell me how you don't wake up in the morning when you have to fight that and get your breathing on and deal with that. But you don't, you don't find comfort in knowing that you're surrounded by believers.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a huge part, man. Faith plays a big part in it. And I tell people all the time, it doesn't have to be something like what I deal with CF. You know, anything could happen. We just enjoy every day we have, because I mean, a life is not promised. Your next breath is not promised. And I have a different perspective. I mean, I've lived 43 years with a lung disease, and every day I look at life like I'm wake up like I'm just thankful for another day. But a lot of people don't have that perspective. They just get up and carry on. But like I just said, anything can happen, and we just are all. But my motto I always take after Matthew McConaughey is just keep living. I always say that. That's what my motto is: just keep living. Good times, bad times, you know, everything that gets thrown your way. Just attitude plays a big part, especially when you're dealing with something like I deal with CF. Attitude plays a big part. I could get down on myself, and a lot of people with CF, man, they do that. They get down and say, you know what, screw it, I'm not doing these treatments anymore. And then you stop a little bit more and a little bit more, and you get sicker, sicker, sicker. And then you're like, oh, I need to get back on it. And then it's a no-win battle because you've already given up. So I've just always, Brandon has seen this my whole life, as far as we went to school together as elementary and up to Mississippi State together, just constantly just giving it my all and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like everybody has a reason for being here. I know they do. And I feel like my reason to be here is inspiring people who whether they have a disease or not have a disease or just anything, just to look on the brighter side of life and know that God has you here, and he's using you for some reason. That, gosh, I don't know why I have CF, but I think I do know part of the why is so that I can spread the word out, let people know to keep fighting whatever battle you're facing. Because like I said, we're not promised tomorrow, but we just got to enjoy it every single day. And the people you meet, you know, like you're talking about in Mississippi, they get that. They understand it. A lot of people you meet, and you'll go around the country, and you'll run into people. Like you just said, you run into people with a Mississippi connection. Boom. When you have that, it's like, hey, you're in, you know, you start, you know them, and then makes a full circle thing. And it's just really neat to see how that plays out.
You know, when you got me, then you just think about that support cast around you. You know, the one thing I didn't say about Hell State for sure, that is the truth. I had a lot of friends that would bring me into play, and we started playing at the Pike House outside all the time, right?
Mhm.
And I'll never forget the first time we came. My buddy Lance Wilson and Mike, the late great Mike Galatis, who I miss him so much. They brought us in, and I think Lance was the social chairman. And I'll never forget, we had one van full of gear, but we'd pack that sucker like there was 12 vans, right? And I remember Lance, everybody going, what the heck did you bring here? Why'd you bring this? Oh my God. And Lance going, will you stop and just let him, you know? So Lance said it was so great because the longer it took to unload the van, more people go, oh, well, that's some gear there, you know? So we ended up becoming the band for years, for 4 years there. And then all of a sudden we've got two 28-foot trucks by the time I graduate Delta State, and there's 10 guys on the payroll. We have a road crew, light show, there's pyro going off, everything. So we've gone from this little van of gear to everything, just this live crazy show. But you know what it gave me? Because the Mississippi State was one of those schools that decided to like me and let me know that I could do it. And that gave me this belief that carried me on until I was making a living out of it, but not making the living I needed to make for it to last forever. But I'm telling you, when I had my first hits at 37, so I was 19, 20 years old when I started playing at Mississippi State. So you think that's a long time to be stubborn enough to keep doing it, you know, and the good Lord was good to me on the way for sure and gave me those signs along the way. But I'm telling you, playing the Pike House at Mississippi State outside, playing at Mississippi State period, growing up, gave me enough belief to keep me going years later till I had the success. And that's that core belief system of friends that you meet, the ones you guys have known each other your whole life, but then you meet people that you feel like you've met each other, that you've known each other for your whole life.
Right.
Anyway, I can tell you that when people ask me, why would you come back home? I said, well, why would I not come back home? I never wanted to leave. I just needed to go away to, you know, be mentored by some great songwriters, which I was, to really understand the songwriting process so I could forget about the songwriting process and just be honest, you know? And so anyway, shout out to Hell State for giving me a big, just giving me a big leg up, man. I'm telling you, it gave me a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. I feel inspired. I mean, I'm in Tennessee. I need to just move on back across the state line or something because I'm making me miss it right now. So, but I'll be down there in a couple
You're in
weeks.
Memphis, the capital of Northwest Mississippi.
That's right. It really is pretty much Mississippi. So for sure.
Yeah. Well,
But how can we find out? If people want to connect with you, find out about your foundation, more about that. What's the best way for us to find that?
It's the Steve Azar Saint Cecilia Foundation. Cecilia is our daughter's name and also the patron saint of music. So that's why we named it that. And you can go to SASCF or just Google Steve Azar, Saint Cecilia Foundation.org. And you can find out all the places we've given and all the places we continue to give. And we feel like that's been, all of this, the state song, these are my greatest achievements, not I Don't Have to Be Me Till Monday and Waiting on Joe and Sunshine, all these other songs. They was fantastic and I had to have it. But as you evolve in your life, you need to have a purpose greater than showing up and entertaining people. Obviously you guys have had this purpose, your relationship with Johnny, you love him, you know what I mean? And you know what he's gone through. And so y'all have a purpose that's so important with CF. So, I think that it's a nice thing. It's going to be a nice reunion in heaven when we all have our final day, and hopefully the good Lord will look at us and go, okay, you guys, that's where you guys did what I wanted you to do, and I feel like we're doing that work now, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good.
Yeah. I guess, so I was born at in the Children's Hospital. I was born in a hospital in Jackson area, transported the night I was born over to the Children's Hospital and ended up staying the first 8 months of my life there, had surgery, all that sort of stuff. So after I graduated college, I spent many years working at the Children's Hospital, kind of promoting it, sharing my story, helping fundraise. And I saw right there firsthand about how special that hospital was, because it treated kids from all 82 counties in Mississippi. It was Mississippi's Children's Hospital. It still is today. And it's just grown so much. So I saw that firsthand. And then looking back on it now, just seeing kind of what we've been talking about this whole time is everyone is connected with it. And that it just kind of makes you proud, just makes you proud to be part of something like this. And you can't tell me that people in other states Mississippi's different. It really is. And I don't see that happening in other places. So it's just been a real blessing. And I'm proud of people like you, what you're doing to represent the state of Mississippi in such a great way. And it's making a difference. And we're all benefiting from it. So thank you, Steve, for doing that.
I appreciate you guys, man. This has been great. I'm going to probably go back and take a nap now since I got in at 4.
All right.
Definitely.
And then order some coffee when you wake back up.
Hey, all right, let's talk about that. I'm so fired up about the coffee. I'm a coffee man. We love it. We love our coffee. So I'm about to go all in. I'm going to be dedicated, and I'm not going to waver.
Well, send me, email me your address. I'll mail you a free bag. Tell me what you like, and you can try it out.
I'll let you send me one free bag, but after that, I like to purchase. I like to support my friends.
All right. Sounds like a deal.
All right, guys. Blessings, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
Take care.
Bye.
Later on.